Welcome back, everybody. This is Connor from Futures Analytica bringing you guys an exciting new free update to the Polarity ATI and the Polarity ATI Strategy Guidebook. This update will introduce massively reworked trade entry efficiency and increased alpha opportunities. A huge weakness prior to this update is that when the market is in a range, there are almost 60% less trading opportunities when trading a hybrid breakout trend following strategy like the Polarity ATI. And as someone who may be newer to trading, the lack of identification on when not to trade can completely derail an otherwise solid trading strategy and leave you with a very mediocre overall win rate. So, the first feature we have added is a way to switch between regression and trend mode. This will allow you to take advantage of when there are stacked imbalances buying or selling into a previously marked absorption level. This means that when the market is inside of a recurring range, you can now utilize AutoArm to not only take more trader out of the trade, but to also not leave so much easily harvestable alpha on the table when the market is in a range. You may have noticed me click that white button on the side of the screen there to swap from trend mode to regression mode, which is one of the newest features in the 4.0 update. We have a non-subjective, analytical approach to switching into regression mode. Nobody likes subjectivity in a trading strategy, and I don't want this feature to contribute to that. First off, take a look at the recent price delta action. There is no correlation between the direction and magnitude. Don't mistake this with a divergence. There is no direction with this decoupling of delta and price. This one factor is enough to switch into regression mode from trend mode. If you guys tuned in a few weeks ago to watch the weekly trading recap, on the Friday of that week we lost money. And we cut our losses when we saw that adjacent range bars were forming and following our blue reverse strength line, meaning we were going to be in a range and there wasn't any point in trying to trade it. We're observing that again here, a very clear symmetry with what we saw that day. But this time we have regression mode. So instead of pumping the brakes, we're going to tap the gas and flip on AutoArm with regression mode enabled. So as price has pushed out of and closes below that auto-marked supportive absorption line, AutoArm triggers and flicks on the strategy in the short direction. We get a triple stack in the short direction, but instead of the strategy selling 4 contracts, it buys 4 contracts to capture this regressive price action we're observing. The reality of a dynamic market is that we have to be adaptable in the way we trade, but this doesn't mean we need to rework our strategy in a fresh way every time those changes happen. But we do need to identify quantitative observable data points for knowing when those changes are happening, and create rules on how we can react to those changes, which is exactly what we have added to the newest edition of the Polarity ATI Guidebook, which is included with the software. We've crafted this update on purpose to create a wide range of freedom in the ways you trade Polarity to fit a variety of personal preferences and trading styles. If you don't want to use regression mode at all, that's totally fine. We've added ways to take advantage of ranges without having to switch between the 2 modes at all, which I will be going over later in this video. Now there's our first regression fill of the day. Ranges used to be a nightmare to navigate in and out of, but now we've made it easier to trade than breakouts. After that fill, we don't need to touch anything. We're leaving on AutoArm and regression on while only observing price velocity and stark changes in delta. About 45 minutes have passed with AutoArm left on, and we haven't had any trades trigger. And as you can see, the market has stayed within the confines of the 2 reverse straight lines we have on our chart. Here's another great example of the super simple identification of a range. Look at all those adjacent bars going up and down, and look at that delta action. Absolutely no correlation between price and delta. If you wanted to go more hands-on when trading, I would suggest leaving it in regression mode and maybe when you notice this delta decoupling to ARM in both directions, which is a step further in aggressiveness than AutoArm. If you did that, you could have caught an extra couple of trades on this non-movement. So their price closed below the support of absorption and 3 stacks of sellers immediately appear on that new open, buying us into the seller aggression. If you guys are longtime viewers, you might have noticed that I haven't really traded NQ on this channel except in the very beginning. And this is why. Before this Polarity update, this is what you had to deal with when trading NQ. But now you can compress tick levels to your desired amount, and Polarity will trade based off of those recalculated imbalances when trading NQ. So as you can see, this is pretty digestible compared to what it was before. There's our second regression mode fill of the day with AutoArm, bringing our daily profit to $1,067. And like before, we will be leaving AutoArm on. We've waited some more time with AutoArm left on, and we're seeing a different pattern form. This one is near the middle or reverse engineered RSI zone, and although price is not adjacent like before, we have price repeatedly bouncing off this 3712 level where that green line was automatically drawn. And following our rules all the way back to 808, price has been decoupled with delta, meaning we're still looking for regressive action. If you want more flexibility, we have an advanced option in Polarity to be able to independently control whether or not the short and long buttons are in regression or trend mode. This is extremely useful for use on trends where there are legs forming and it's not a straight shot up or down, where you could set one in regression mode and the other in trend and arm in both directions. And there's that fill on the buy stack, with price shortly just kissing the green reverse line before price starts to move in the desired regressive direction. We've also added new sections to the guidebook to expand on this video for exactly how to utilize these features most effectively. We've also added new sections to the guidebook to expand on this video for exactly how to utilize these features most effectively. Really simple fill there. This entire month has just been a range-bound fiasco, so there isn't much trading craftsmanship to boast about on my end right now. Not really doing much of the heavy lifting. So after price formed the new high of the day after testing above the long RZ, which caused us to get filled on that trade, delta and price have now recoupled, with a clean short move happening with some short-lived buying action which failed to continue the range for at least the time being. With that correlation now becoming strong between delta and price, we see that one directional divergence at 833, making us bearish on this move. We're keeping on AutoArm, but we are going to be flipping on trend mode. If you've noticed in my recent videos, I have been very hands-on, and highlighting all of my trading decisions has been much more time consuming. As in the range-bound market we've been in, the decisions I had to make to maintain profitability with a trend bias strategy were much more complicated. I am very confident I'll be able to return to the decisive, rules-based, and analytical style of trading you guys want from me with this new update, and I think you guys will have a much better time in this market with this upgrade. I think this is pretty apparent by my P&L for the first half of the month, where I didn't have regression mode. I'm pretty good at staying out of ranges, but regardless, this meant fewer trading opportunities all around. So my total alpha was only an average about $2,300 per day. My win rate is great, but my actual profit amount is lower than what I should be at this month. I don't have enough data for a comparison between the first half without regression and the second half with regression. But when the month ends, I'll be sure to keep you guys posted on how we're doing. But so far, I love what I'm seeing. Okay, so there's our first trend fill of the day, putting us into a short trade right below the blue RZL. By the way, those green and blue lines are totally free and can be downloaded in the description, regardless if you have Polarity or any other Futures Analytica product. And we get filled there after a couple of minutes. Another stack forms immediately after and puts us right into another short trade. One thing I will say about AutoArm is that it can easily get away from you when volatility kicks up, which is why we've added a new toggleable function to automatically disable AutoArm on trade loss, so this will not happen anymore. Once again, totally optional and not required to be used, but it is there for your safety if you want it. And boom, right there is our second trend fill of the day. We're now sitting at $3,600 of post-commission profit, and we're on quite a large winning streak today. So here's a feature we added that's really exciting. It allows you to enter based on a limit order with a configurable distance away from price. This opens up a ton of new possibilities to use on the strategy. The limit order can also automatically be canceled if it is not filled and price moves a customizable number of ticks away from the entry distance. Combined with NinjaTrader's ATM strategy capability, you can do some truly algorithmic levels of complexity now. These are the settings I'm using for the limit order configuration, with the normal 15-15 ATM strategy I pretty much always use, which is now selectable from a drop-down menu instead of having to type your ATM strategy each time. So a little bit of a flashback and a freeze frame here to about 30 seconds earlier in the market. The market has re-entered its range, and we've seen another decoupling of delta. This time there is a large number of aggressive buyers with all that blue delta at the bottom there. But obviously there is no positive price movement. So in this case, we're going to demonstrate the limit order feature by utilizing it here. We're only going to be arming it in the long direction. As we pointed out, there is some directional bias with this delta decoupling, but we also don't want to get faked out. Even with that bullish divergence at 1102, we've been so range bound today that we don't want to risk it. So we play the bullish biased neutral move by using trend mode in conjunction with the limit order strategy. So back to a moving market in the present day. We get filled into our trade there. Oh wait, no we don't. A triple stacked imbalance occurs and a limit order gets placed 10 ticks down from where our signal occurred. Since we're in trend mode, it's a buy limit, and if we were in regression mode, it would be a sell limit. So after price poked its head out of the range, it moved us down, and then there was our actual fill. You could have measured how large this range is and made the distance equivalent to that, but I found that the 10 we have it set to is a pretty good number for most situations. We move our stop loss to right where the red RZL is. Not that it changes anything on this trade, as the trade ends up filling without even coming close to our original stop loss. But I'm a big fan of using non-fixed take profit and stop losses that are based on environmental conditions. If you've seen my pre-polarity videos, you'll know what I'm talking about. The update after this one will focus more on exits based on order flow factors as well. Anyway, it's about 11 o'clock and we've made a very substantial amount of profit at this point. With having 0 losses on the day, we're definitely going to call it at 4.4 thousand in profit. There's a couple of features in the new polarity update that I didn't cover, which will be covered by the patch notes video Zach will be releasing soon, so stay posted for that. If you don't have polarity yet, you can use code DELTA50 for $50 off on this week only, so make sure you grab it before it expires if you're interested in the system. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I really hope you love the update. We've come a long way as a community since the beginning, and I'm very proud of where we're at. I don't plan on pumping the brakes on any content or updates to the system anytime soon, so make sure you like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video and want to see more. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys soon.